Alright, so this is day 15 of our adventure into history. This is the history of symbols. Of course, it's just some symbols, but basically the artist here has depicted the sacrament, and that's psilocybin. And you read the title, Hunter-Gatherer to Lawgiver. So Hunter-Gatherer is kind of a nickname for Adam and Eve. Because some people believe that we had hunter-gatherer first, and then pastoralists, and then agriculturalists. In fact, that's considered anthropological science. So here they're following the cattle, and in the wake of the cattle is the cattle's dung, on which the psilocybe cubensis grew. As you can see, they're transforming from hunter-gatherer, this is from a piece of rock art, to pastoralists, who are psilocybin capped and psilocybin bodied. So then the fall happened, and we began to eat of Amanita muscaria and fell into consciousness. And you have Pharaoh, who's eating that tree of knowledge of good and evil and becoming a god and enslaving different peoples. And finally you have out of Egypt Moses, who getting honey from the rock, and the 10 Commandments from God here is looked upon with great favor by God. The honey from the rock being the psilocybin. And these are just the iconography. This is I think it's a 9th century German church painting. This is the Star of Lucifer, and you can see the morning glory here wrapped around the Amanita muscaria with the blue flower, facing Eve. I think that's where Jesus was tempted by Satan, so that's not going to be depicted here, unfortunately. The tree of life is the psilocybin, which is the body of Christ, and his name as well as God's name, so it calls both of them. The symbolism was taken almost too far at one point. We determined that the male member needed to be cut and circumcised in order to be in God's image. So when you cut the male member and you re-stitch it back together, it creates a purple rim, which is much like the spore of psilocybes around the rim of the cap, and then you have stitch lines or gills for the rest of it. So these are the Egyptians doing circumcision. And that is why circumcision worked as the first, covenant that God ordered for Abraham, circumcision of all the males. These are the primary colors of psilocybin: bluing, orange or red caps, gold caps, or pale white caps. So bluing, gold, and scarlet, and purple, which is the spore print. Those are the 4 main colors of psilocybin. Symbolism, the reference in the Bible to honey is often a symbolic reference to psilocybin. If you eat honey, eat just enough. Jonathan finds honey in the forest and eats it and becomes empowered by God with faith to attack the Philistines and is successful. More symbolism. This is the bluing lily. This is the blue lily of the Nile, and this is the chemistry of paradise. Blue lilies, mandrake, and the name, or psilocybin. This is the blue lily as you can order it from the internet. This is the Egyptians taking the blue lily, and this is a queen and a pharaoh, and she's offering him mandrake. A little too small to see, but you might get some bigger pictures here. This is Nefertiti, and in her necklace is the mandrake. And this is Akhenaten. 100 years after Exodus, Akhenaten came on the scene and decided that monotheism was true and polytheism, the idea of many gods, was not true. Unfortunately, his monotheistic view was that the sun was God. And this is the bread symbol and the water symbol, which you need for psilocybin, the bread of life. Symbolism, again, in movies like Lord of the Rings, you've got the elven princess laying next to a pillow of psilocybin, the stalk and the gills being shown here. Symbolism again, and we've got the morning star, or Venus, as she is called, and that star or planet denoted psilocybin in the Greek culture. They said that she was an older god and that she came from the sea foam. Alright, love without discernment is blind. So you're looking at these things about how the pyramids were created, how Venus was actually representative of the psilocybin mushroom, how the capstone on the $1 bill is the all-seeing eye, not of Lucifer, but of God, because it represents the psilocybin mushroom. He's been trying to capture the name psilocybin for a long time, but say, for example, among the Maztecs, the healers there were of two types: morning glory healers and psilocybin healers. Psilocybin healers could eat psilocybin, and they could probably eat morning glories, but ones like Maria Sabina said, no, I'm not doing that. I don't trust those seeds. I don't trust that spirit, which was wise. Sabina means wise. Whereas the witches who would partake of the morning glory, not all were witches, some were curanderos, healers, could not eat the mushrooms without getting violently sick. And they were often hired to put curses on people. Love and its definition. And this is just kind of going over the four types of love: eros, or romantic love; philo, or brotherly love; storge, which is the kind of love that's between family members; and agape, which is God's love. And agape is what planet Earth really needs. So love is the only solution, but the love of truth is how you get there. This is the Liberty Cap shown on a silver dollar, and the Liberty Cap shown here. This is he's got, his headdress is that of a auger and pestle for mortar and grinding, for grinding up the seeds of the morning glory. He was an Assyrian king. This is a drinking vessel with the serpent on it. The serpent cup again. This is probably Assyrian, and the Liberty Cap shown next to Lady Liberty on a silver coin. The mystery religions. I think we'll stop there. The mystery religions are kind of dark, but they're really necessary for your navigation skills in the higher realms, and for your outlook on life, knowing that somehow Luciferianism and meism has gotten into our elect, or into our representatives. Alright, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for paying attention.